Hi, I'm Ryan Daws, Senior Editor at TechForge Media, and with me today is Violeta Mitsova, who is the co-founder of MClimate. So Violeta, how do you design and develop your smart home and building automation solutions to be compatible with different IoT technologies?
So we currently focus on LoRaWAN as a technology because we have done a lot of research in our department and figure out that it gives us the longest battery lifetime of 10 years for every device. So we really focus on designing sustainable devices from the start. So it's the energy consumption when we start operating the device and the battery life and no maintenance. So we try to do LoRaWAN with solar panels, but the IoT technology that we have selected is LoRaWAN, and that's probably the basis for all our devices. We can do NB-IoT and everything else, but for now we're focusing on LoRaWAN.
So you cover my next question of what the main benefits of using LoRaWAN is. So what are the main challenges or limitations that you see with using LoRaWAN?
I think the main challenges in designing the device, we don't have that many, but it's actually educating people that IoT works. So essentially, people had various experiences with IoT in the past, and some of them started with Zigbee and Z-Wave, which was not maybe good for big buildings, and they needed multiple routers or gateways. Now we try to educate the market that IoT evolves and IoT works. So essentially, it's just getting through that obstacle of making people believe and testing technologies again that were actually made for large-scale installations rather than individual households, for example.
Definitely. I mean, there's been so many different standards over the years. So what are the, how do you measure and optimize the energy efficiency, comfort, and security of smart buildings?
Okay, so for example, most of our clients are commercial public buildings, let's say schools, hospitals, office buildings. So essentially, most of them were controlled with a BMS system, which either controls the whole floor. Rarely it has the optionality to control individual rooms. So essentially, to make a building smart, we install individual TRVs, which is like the thermostatic valves on radiators, or fan coil units, depending on how it's heated. And then we take over each individual room's control. You can put schedules, which can be based on your curriculum or office hours. And then with that information, you can actually reduce the consumption by 35%. And we don't take over all the energy consumption of a building, but at least 80% of it. So that makes it worth the investment.
Fantastic. And so are you finding that more enterprises are looking for smart building solutions, like with the varying gas prices and all that sort of thing?
Yeah, I think one driver was really last year when the energy prices went up. But I think another driver that drives more of our sales these days is ESG compliance. So really sustainability initiatives in all organizations have taken place. And when they pass on the medium-sized level of organizations, large organizations have ESG goals they have to comply with. And their biggest challenge is having data. What IoT offers them is getting that data and getting full control of it. So essentially, we will provide the humidity and temperature data. They can regulate it, and then they can use the data for their ESG reporting. So I think that probably not the gas pricing in itself and the savings are driving it, but the idea that you also get the data to actually have something provable and measurable to work with.
Great. So are you using sort of AI or machine learning to make sense of that data?
We have not started doing that. It is probably somewhere down the road. But again, there is a lot of, again, it's a mentality thing. So do you want AI to control your heating in the building? And most of your property management, building management will say, no, thank you. So essentially, we have to go through the obstacle of security of the data first. Let's and ensure that IoT works and let them know that it works. And then we're probably going to overlay another angle of AI on top of it. But still, there's a lot of mental obstacles to get through to get people to trust technology and then AI to do their building maintenance and operations.
Yeah, I can see that's a big challenge.
Yeah.
So is there a sort of case study that you would say is the most exciting deployment of smart building that you've done so far?
I don't know, all of them are exciting and have their own challenges, but I'm always particularly happy when we do schools because that's where our kids grow. And essentially there you can do a lot from air quality to energy management and actually combine all the ESG goals that you have. It's kind of energy, it's air, and it's water leak prevention, for example. A lot of them suffer from molds, which is also not very good for the health of the individual. So essentially, I'm always excited about even a smaller school installation that we do somewhere, just because I know that then they get the full benefit of IoT in all the possible ways.
Yeah, definitely. It's a big impact.
Yeah.
So earlier in our conversation, you said that a key challenge is educating your customers.
Yes.
how do you go about doing that and that sort of outreach?
Well, it's similar to these events. We talk to people and we try to tell them, okay, have you tried IoT? Do you know what it does? I mean, a lot of the people in the BMS industry are still used to cabling. They like their solutions. They've been doing that for 20 years and they don't want to trust something new. But again, we try to tell even existing players that this is something new that they can do. And the difference here is that you can actually automate and make a building smart within one day. And if you were doing the standard cabling and the building management systems in the old way or replacing the whole system, you will have to shut down a building, do some maintenance works, potentially building works, emitting more CO2. So essentially the benefit of the retrofit solution of IoT is that you can just stick it on the wall or change the radiator valve, and then you get control of your building. So really it starts with the people who were previously doing installations in the building management space. Then it goes to the property owners who want to save money, but also be sustainable. And then the end user also has a say from time to time when they say, I want to increase my comfort. I want to know what the air quality is like. And then they can push that as well to their, employers or whoever owns the building, the owners.
Great. And so are there any current trends or emerging opportunities that you see in the smart building space?
I see a lot of opportunities in the retrofit space, as I mentioned, because currently only 1% of the building stock in Europe is being retrofitted or modernized. And again, this for me becomes a big question mark. Why are people not doing it? And I think we started a great progress in Germany, for example, which is one of our biggest markets, where they have, for example, the carbon footprint and carbon taxes. So that really drives a lot of the people to look for solutions. What can I do to make my building smart? So I see a lot of potential, not penalizing people who don't really have carbon taxes or emit, but actually trying to figure out a solution that you don't compensate your carbon emissions once you've already done them. So you just don't emit them to start with. So that's what an IoT can do for your building when you start it from the beginning, rather than trying to find a green project to invest in and offset the carbon you already emitted.
Excellent. And so what about the security implications? Is that a challenge? Obviously, a lot of IoT devices have been found to be very insecure. Is that given a lot of enterprises pause?
Yeah, I think the security question comes always from either the tenants, the users, the end users that occupy a building with sensors, or the owners of the building. But it's similar to the question that existed many years ago about having Wi-Fi at home. Or using your phone and WhatsApp. So, these questions come and go, and we know that there is a fine line. But again, the LoRaWAN protocol is quite secure, and again, there's individual keys for every single device, so you cannot really get an access to the device when you see it on the wall. Again, hacking into a system that controls the heating and cooling is not something that really everyone wants to do. So I think there is certain protocols in place, and a lot of security just has to be explained better to people with white papers or the relevant information, so that they know that their data is secured.
Excellent. Well, that's everything from me today, Violeta. So thank you for coming to speak to me.
Thank you very much
Hope you have a great rest of the event.
Thanks.